Hi, I'm Eric Nierstead, and welcome back to my reading of A Child Shall Lead from my short story collection, Spider Stories, Tales of the Silent Pantheon. Let's begin. What is that? Jack asked as he left the chair and came over. Did that thing really spit it out at you? Quiet, Mustafa said as he looked at the bell. I've heard this name before, somewhere. What name? What does it say? Let me think, Jack, Mustafa said. His mind went back across all the names he had heard in his travels. It was not a name from Egypt, that much he knew. Yet it was a name that reeked of folklore, of men's imagination and belief. Somewhere before, in his travels across the lands of Africa and Europe, he had heard the name Krampus? Mustafa looked down at Jack, who looked at the bell with wide eyes. Mustafa could see the fear growing in them, so he knelt down and put his face level with Jack. Jack, do you know this name? Tell me. My grandma told it to me. It's just a story. Stories often carry truth within them. Now tell me what you know, Jack. Our lives may depend on it. Jack swallowed and said, She said it was a story they used to tell her back in Germany when she was little. Every year St. Nicholas was supposed to come and give the good kids toys and candy. But Krampus would come with him too. He brought sticks for the bad kids so he could whip them, or sometimes he'd chain them up and put them onto a cage on his back, and he'd... Jack shuddered and looked away from Mustafa. The jackal gripped the boy's shoulder tightly, but gave no other comfort. A creature from the boy's homeland folklore. And that would explain why it was coming for him. And it was unlikely to stop for barter or battle. A creature like the Krampus would be single-natured, driven only by its goal to punish. Athena had often told him of creatures like that from her land. They were angry, winged women that would punish those that had broken oaths. Those souls tormented by them often died of madness or by their own hand to escape these messengers of their guilt. Krampus would likely be the same, yet there could still be a chance. Jack, Mustafa said, you said the Krampus came after bad children. Why would it be coming after you? That can't be Krampus, Jack said. It's just a story. Did that thing look like what your grandmother told you about? Does this bell have its name on it? Jack did not answer, and Mustafa continued. It may be a story, but it's here all the same. And it is coming for you, Jack. You have to tell me why. It's not real, Jack yelled, pulling away from Mustafa. It's just a stupid story. I don't know what it is, but it's not Krampus. The boy turned from Mustafa then to the jackal's side. If he didn't know why the Krampus was coming for Jack, there was no chance to save him. Yet the boy was too grounded to believe that a monster was on his heels. He was one of the many that only believed in what he could see and touch. Jack, Mustafa said as he stood up to his full height, you say the Krampus is a story, and stories cannot be real. So then what am I? What are you? Turn and see me, Jack. See me truly. Jack turned around and froze in place. The old man that had brought him into this house was gone. Standing before him was a dark figure, dressed in a white skirt, golden sandals, and armbands, and who carried a great staff with a curved top. A black ankh glowed in his belt, and a golden crown was draped over his jackal head. Jack started to back away, but the figure spoke to him in Mustafa's voice. Do not be afraid, Jack. Many have made that mistake. What are you? I am the man you met tonight. And a long time gone, I was much more. I am Anubis, the judge of the dead and god of Egypt. God, but there's only... Your god is but one, Anubis said. There are other peoples than yours. Many gods have been created by men all over the world. Is this not true? I guess, yeah. And they were but stories? Or does one stand before you now? Jack could only nod. Then perhaps another stalks you outside? Jack gulped, but did not speak. Again, Anubis kneeled down before the boy and looked him in the eyes. I know this has always been a storybook monster for you, but it is here now for you, and only you know why. Tell me. Jack stayed silent. Do you know what I do as judge of the dead, Jack? I would decide whether or not the dead went on to the afterlife. I would weigh their hearts on my scales and measure what was there. I could measure it now if I so desired, but I would rather you tell me, Jack. Please give me that and lose whatever burden you have. Jack didn't answer, and Anubis' hand began to move towards the boy's chest. Then, as his fingertips came closer, Jack finally spoke. I ran away. Anubis paused then and looked at the boy. Why, Jack? What was so terrible in your family that would make you leave? You said they loved you, took care of you. Why would you? Because she came. Who? Amy. My dad's wife. Your stepmother, Anubis said, understanding flooding his face. My mom, she died after last Christmas. It was a car accident. My dad said he'd always be around then, always be there to keep me and my sister safe. And then one day he brings Amy home, said she was his friend. She kept coming around more and more, and then 2 months ago they got married. As if she could replace your mother, Anubis said. Exactly, Jack snapped. She spends all this time making Christmas of the house like we never did it before. She doesn't know one thing my mom did, and even then she couldn't do it right. And I'm supposed to accept that? No, she's not my mom, and I'm not going to pretend. No, Anubis said. She isn't. But there was a time I would have wished to be in your place, Jack. What are you talking about? When I was young, I wished for another father. Mine was cruel and angry, and took it out on my mother and me. We both suffered, and I hoped every day that he would be stricken down. But it never happened. How did you get out? I didn't. My grandfather said my uncle and aunt to take us away, and he punished my father. I finished growing up in my uncle's garden, and he gave me his wisdom and love each day. I loved him as a protector and the teacher I had not had. But I knew that no matter what happened, he was not my father. But he did so much, Jack said. He saved you and your mom and helped you. He was... Yes. And still I knew he was not my father. Yet I loved him like one. Blood is not the only thing that binds us together, Jack. Your mother is gone, and I know that loss well. I have felt it and seen it many times. And Amy cannot be your mother, no. But she can still care for you and protect you, as Osiris did for me. Is that not worth having? But my mom would want you to be happy, to be loved. Is that not true? Jack wiped his eyes, but nodded. Then perhaps it is time you went home, Jack. I can take you if you like. Jack nodded, and Anubis rose up. He took the boy's hand, closed his eyes, prepared to transport them both, and opened them in his kitchen. What? I thought you were taking me home. I was. Anubis tried again, but again nothing happened. The jackal strained, trying to take them away from this place, away from... Clink, 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 clink. The sour bells filled the air again, and this time they were accompanied by heavy clip-clop sounds. Anubis and Jack looked onto the kitchen entranceway as a dark shape came into the light. Krampus was tall as Anubis himself. He was covered in black fur, save for his hooved feet. His chest had bells tied to it, bells that pulled it down as he walked. He carried a great metal cage on his back, fastened there by 2 chains wrapped around his arms. In his left hand, he carried a great bundle of thin sticks. On his right, he carried more chains. As Anubis and Jack looked on in horror, Krampus looked at them and smiled under his yellow eyes and horns. His great tongue rolled out of his mouth, and he spoke in a voice that smelled of rotten berries and burnt ham and sounded like stones breaking. No one leaves, not until Krampus's work is done on Christmas night. Until next time.